AI video is the same as real life, you'll be thinking, "Is this real or is this fake?" The question of authenticity and made up is gonna be a big question in the
It's
future.
social media has moved away from, "Oh, build connection, build relationship." I don't care that they're adding these emojis in, like, the little emojis when you just tell someone, "Oh, hey, I'm here," but, like, the AI emojis that they started having where it's like
Genmoji?
yeah, Jinmoji. I'm like, "Why?" It's very easy. It's good to bring out the authentic side. And I feel like podcasts are a great way to just come out with the authentic side, find stuff, and even find gold gems that I can look at later and be like, "Oh, I said this. This is great. Like, I'm gonna start saying that more," you know? And so, authenticity, I think it really shines through on the just the raw conversations.
Yeah, I think, more and more people are looking forward to that, especially with the AI videos coming out, and, you see those and you just only think, what's it gonna be in, like, 5 years? When AI video is the same as real life, you'll be thinking, "Is this real or is this fake?" So the question of authenticity and made up is gonna be a big question in the future, I think.
Yeah, I'm very big. It was funny because me being in digital marketing, and branding, I have this emphasis of like I'm big into branding. I'm big into building like your ideal audience, building your visuals and your positioning around an ideal audience, right? But the digital marketing side was always a different type of market for me. They always came in and it was always and it's this is the way I've seen it grow is it's very transactional, you know? It's social media has moved away from, "Oh, build connection and build relationships." And, that's something that I lost. I got so ingrained into it that I was like, oh, I was focusing on SEO. I was focusing on just posting a video. I didn't even care what it was. That I was like, none of it was working, of course. I mean, the SEO worked. I mean, we do SEO, but it was still like I'd get calls from people and they'd be like, how much? And that's it. It's like, I'm not here to just help you. Like, I'm not here. This isn't a transactional type situation. I'm not here to just be like, oh, hey, give me money and I'll do work. Like, I'm past that point in my life. Like,
Right.
I want to actually help you so that you can help somebody else. And that's the whole point, I think, of why we're here on this planet. And so that connection was something that I had to bring back personally. It's funny enough, I like to say that I lost my value in connection from when I opened the business, and I didn't even realize it was missing, and once I kinda realized it was missing, I'm like, "Okay, how does this directly correlate with not just me personally, but my brand and with business growth?" And I think that I'm starting to see this correlation between values and the way a business grows and a person grows and what they get burnt out, why they can't and even though I say that money's no longer a factor to me, I still own a business. I still have to focus on money, you know? But at the end of the day, it's like, I don't wanna work 18-hour days,
Yeah.
And I even do that with my employees now. I'm very big on, like, "Hey, I want you to work smart, not hard. I want you to be efficient. If you can figure something out that takes you 1 hour compared to the 8 we have in our standard procedure, let's refine that. Let's make things simpler." And I think that making things simpler, especially as you grow, is probably my hardest struggle. But that connection side has definitely been something I've been trying to bring back in, not just to my personal life, but to, you know, the people that I hang out with. And
Right.
that's why I started doing these podcasts to begin with. And I've started to feel alive from it because I'm having normal conversations with people. I'm like, okay, there are people out there like me that just want to connect and
Yeah.
talk and build relationships and not have it be so, all right, what's the price of this? What's the price of that? You know?
Well, that's what I thought was interesting, when I started taking pictures of strangers on the street. Somebody told me, he said, "This is kinda weird," and I said, "Well, I mean, back in the '70s and '80s, that's what people did. They just met. They're like, 'Oh, hey, what's going on, man? Like, I have the same jacket,' or 'I drive the same car,' or 'What engine's in that car?'" Like, whatever conversation you strike up, and then you just one thing after the next, then you're having a conversation, you're drinking a beer, you're doing something and playing baseball, whatever, right? More of that just spontaneous raw connection to whereas today there's so many revenues to connect with people that think that we connect with more people, but they're loose connections.
Me and my wife were watching the new Apple presentation the other night.
Oh, the one from, last night?
Yeah,
It's some crazy features
crazy
it's right
features,
there.
and not just the AI stuff, which I think is hilarious, but, um,
Super problematic.
they had a lot of stuff on there that I'm like my wife's 'cause my wife, she's in the corporate world still for a large company, and, she uses Microsoft. I'm a Google guy, so, of course, we bicker all the time about
Google as well, yeah.
she's like, "Microsoft Suite is," but she was like, "That's something that Microsoft has. That's something that Microsoft has." But, already and I think it's funny, but, I looking at it, and I'm like, "See, this is what I'm talking about." Like, cer like, I don't care that they're adding these emojis in, like the little emojis when you just tell someone, "Oh, hey, I'm here," but, like, the AI emojis that they started having where it's like
Genmoji?
yeah, Jinmoji. I'm like, "Why?" I'm like, "What is the point of this?" "Oh, you make a little figure of somebody." I'm like, "There's no real point." And so where I was going at with that with my wife is like the connection's gone. The whole point of a phone is to bridge the gap of communication for meeting somebody, but now it's gotten so automated that there's no the whole point of these systems is no longer about connection. Adding AI into text, like, why would I wanna or the email thing, it was the email thing that they have, and I know, like, they have different email things that do that something similar, but it's like, we were laughing because the guy was like, "Oh, if you need to send that resume and polish it up, use this AI feature in Safari email now, and it will send it over." And then 5 minutes later, he's like, "Oh, and if you need to respond to a colleague and read the summary of something." I'm like, so now it's getting to the point where no one even knows what's going on. You're just like, write a summary, and then the person's gonna read the summary of the AI comment and then summarize it back. And I'm like, there's no connection there.
Yeah,
It
you're making me worry about it because I just realized, the AI being able to write a professional email for you is going to make it almost impossible to figure out who is good and bad at what, or the just like, if I'm like, let's say like I'm, not good at talking to people and I'm not good at writing, right? It's gonna show through. I'm gonna have shitty conversations or I'm gonna trip up a lot or be awkward or I'm gonna type up and it's just not gonna sound right. You're like, okay, this guy's just not a good writer. He's not a good speaker. Whereas, like, now with AI, you're not it's gonna take away that writing part. You're not gonna know if somebody's a bad writer or not, or who they really are, because everything's gonna be AI. It's almost like an assistant wrote it for you. Really, it's what it is. It's your assistant wrote it for you, just AI.
I'm very big on when I hire employees, we actually have to use AI to detect AI, unfortunately.
Wow.
But but
Isn't that so
we'll have
funny?
people come in, and we had one the other day that came in because I'm hiring for a new, a marketing assistant to kinda work on my schedule. Bringing in the marketing assistant and really working on having them, be a part of our team, and we actually had a situation where we have to put these Easter eggs in, and the Easter eggs are all meant to, feel people out, resume. One of our Easter eggs is simply use this link and submit your resume. I had this girl that submitted the first time. She submitted 3 times. First time, she didn't submit anything. She just went to the link and she submitted. So we denied her because I'm like, "I'm sorry, I asked you a simple task of just submitting a resume, didn't." Second time, she AI generated the whole thing, her own resume. So we said no again. And then she filled it out again. And at that point, she just wasn't the right position because we were looking for a marketing assistant and she was a designer. So I'm like, oh, she just doesn't fit the mold. Maybe she'll fit the next role. She ended up emailing my ops person that was doing the thing and basically complaining, what do I need for this job? This is discrimination. And it's like, just ignore her. I mean, at this point, tell her she can prove on the next one. But it's like, you didn't follow the simple guidelines.
Yeah.
Like, if you can't write your own resume, like, how can I trust that you can provide a simple task amongst what the role was for, which was I need someone to come in to help me as the visionary to come up with outcomes and deliver on those outcomes. It has
Yeah.
nothing to do with you being a doer. It has nothing to do with you writing social media posts. It's literally just I need someone there to tell me to shut up
Yeah.
with my vision. And so, but that's what we have to do. I have this really big client in the fitness space. It's a big box franchise. I work with their corporate team, and one of the SEO companies that they work with, and we do a lot of their content writing. And one of my writers last month decided to try to cut corners and do AI, and I had to fire him because I'm like, we literally do our best to make everything as human as possible. Like, I don't
Uh-huh.
want any I mean, because at that point, it's just regurgitated from another post.
Yeah.
How is that gonna help anybody, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, especially in my space, I feel like it has come I mean, everyone says you have to get up with the times, learn AI. So I do use AI in some aspects, and we're
Sure.
learning to evolve it within our systems, but it's more for, like, internal processes.
Yeah.
Like
Well, I worry about it a lot with photography, and I'm going to film school this fall to become a movie director, okay, long term. But, I look at, like, corporate headshots and, I've been doing, full time for, like, consistently 6 years with a break over COVID, shut down. I started, like, 13 years ago initially, so I've seen a lot of changes as it's gone forward, and I worry a lot now about the AI generated images and what it can do, like, if I took a picture of you with my iPhone and put it in through, like, an AI machine,
yeah,
what it can churn out, and so, let's just for example, like, a year and a half ago when AI was becoming a buzz, I generated like an AI, portrait of somebody. I was like, this is cool, but it's like you could tell, like, here and there the eye or something. I did one last week and I was like, I might be out of work in next year, you know what I mean? Because
mhm,
it is growing so fast and it's so accurate now to where it really makes me worried. So when I was looking in some research for it, I found somebody who said, don't worry about what AI can do, just look at what people want it to do. So, you'll never have a wedding photographer get replaced by AI because it has to be the people at the real moment, it's authentic, it's them, it has to be a person, right? But AI could replace corporate headshots. Like, yeah, it could, you know what I mean? And so, it's an interesting the thing that you're saying that, with your business, you use AI for some of it, is that it's not that it's not what AI can do, it's what you want it to do or what you're willing to let it do almost, you know what I mean?
yeah, I try to funny enough you say that because I agree with you 100%. I kinda try to tell I had a couple of content writers a couple of years ago just quit. They were just like, "I'm not doing this anymore. AI's taking over my job." I'm like, "Listen, AI's never gonna take over creativity.
Mhm.
Never gonna take over that sense of, I need someone as an expert to come in here and do this, this, and this." It's never gonna do that. What it's actually doing is I think it's separating the gap between, and I always put things in business since I'm around it all day, but it separates the gap between, those individuals that are, we'll just say cheapskates. They're like, "Oh, I would have just paid $100 for this anyway." And then those real people that want to make a difference and have this vision and they're like, "We want to create something great." You're never gonna, you as a photographer, if you start creating these videos, no one's gonna be able to replace you going in there and being like, "Oh, me and my team, this is our direction. This is what we're gonna do. This is our script. This is what we're gonna like follow through on in the process." Yeah, the AI might help you like define that process a little bit before you go in, but there's no way that you're gonna have a robot running around with a camera being able to create these amazing scenes based off of what you want. It's seems like it's gonna go there, but I mean,
Well, exactly. I mean, AI with music too, AI can generate these cool songs that sound really, really good, these days, but it's never gonna replace the going to the concert and being in the front row or the nosebleeds and listening to your artist, in real time or getting an autograph or getting a backstage, pass or going to a comedy show or whatever, that real connection, which we were talking about earlier, it's like, that's something that I've been craving more and more. I kinda miss it from, like, when I was a kid, we used to have, like, our little bike gangs. You go on your bicycles, and you'd meet up, and you would go shoot hoops, yeah, I kinda miss it because, like, even in my neighborhood, I see so many houses, and sometimes I'm like, "Dang, it's like a zombie apocalypse. I don't see anybody." You know what I mean?
well, part of that it's because it's 100
Well, now it's the summer, but yeah. Everybody, hibernates in the summer here in Arizona. But yeah, people just aren't out doing as much in real person. And I think going forward, it's gonna be this conflict of like, well, yeah, AI can do it, but I'm so fucking sick and tired of hearing that word AI, which I'm kinda getting to that point now. I'm sure you are too. Every time you hear AI, 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 it's like, "God damn it. Let's get back to the basics here," you know?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we will use it like I'll tell my team, "Hey, if we need to make a common checklist, if your like brain's in a funk because you were like trying to do a task and you need to create yourself a to-do list, great. Use AI to start it.
Yeah.
And I'll use AI sometimes for, like, my brain to get rolling on, like,
I
alright.
love it for that. I
Yeah.
love it for that,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly, but, my biggest, I think, was, my sense of confidence, because what it actually do with my other one of my other values, which is really based around confidence, is it I started sitting behind the screen, and I started losing my sense of, "Oh, I need to go out there," and that's why it's so connected with connection, funny enough, pun of words, because I started losing my sense of going out there and actually meeting people and building, and I'm like, my sales funnel started to turn into this, and back to the AI, very similar, and I never use these platforms, but they're coming up where it's like, use AI to reach out to 100 people or 1,000 people and one come through. I'm like, that's not what business is. Like, back to what you were talking about, the early 80s and 90s. I'm like, what happened to building a community of people that help each other and work together to help civilization grow,
Yeah.
depending on what you're doing? And I had to look back at my connection side. I'm like, well, I'm not confidently going out there and talking to people anymore. I got stuck in this, like, cube of, "Oh, just have them come into the pipeline and jump on a call with me," and I thought this connection was just gonna be built, and so that's why I started to go out and public speak, because I'm like, "Hey, I need to bring back."
Oh, yeah, get some of that testosterone, that
I literally
energy.
I love it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm still pretty new at it. I've only been doing it for about a year.
Oh, but you get nervous up there, man. You know?
It gets better. It gets better over time. I mean, I've been in prep for a TEDx for about a year now, and there's a huge process around that that I've had to personally go through. But it is very exhilarating, especially when business itself does kind of get to a point where there is a lot of just moving parts and you're not really talking to people anymore. And so that's what pushed me to be like, all right, I need to become more of a leader. I need to confidently be able to get out of this delegation phase, hire someone that can more manage the team, and get back out there and start meeting people and building connections and relationships and things that we're doing. And so that in itself has brought me more alive, you know?
It's funny that you say this because I just started going door knocking just to learn better sales. One of my buddies is a solar salesman,
Yeah.
and I told him, I said, I wonder what it's like you doing door knocking. He said, well, don't be out there and just do it. And I will. And so I went out for 4 days. I didn't make a single sale, but it was so exhilarating because just knocking on the door. Everybody was nice, by the way, which was really surprising to me. I thought people were gonna be really mad, but they received me well. But every time I would talk to somebody, I would, get my pitch, and then I would just think back on their body language, their eyes, their tone, how fast did they cut me off? Did they cut me off? And I would just think like, okay, well, at first they're receiving me, but I'm not compelling. That's the biggest bridge I'm having now is compelling you to make you realize that you need to buy this, not just say, hey, this is a great service. You really like me, like, I could tell, but there was just something missing. So, but ultimately, it made me feel alive. I felt like out here in the world, this is my hunting grounds. You know what I mean? Like I can just do whatever I want. So it's kind of the same thing.
It is. It's funny you say that, because I was watching, me and my wife are going through this stint right now where we always, I think, as you start binge watching shows, you kind of go back to old shows, and we just finished Big Bang Theory, and we started going to Class of Sheldon. We started going to Young Sheldon because I've never watched it, and we got to this episode last night where his brother, I think it's Georgie is what his name is. He was going door to door and selling globes, and I was funny because he was learning it. And it was funny you say the sales thing going door to door, because it reminded me of how he wasn't selling, and then he started building a connection with the person at the around on the other side of the door. Like, what do you value? Like, what are the things that common sales practice, right? But I was like, this is what sales is about, is the connection. Like, it shouldn't be about, I think sales has turned into this, oh, everyone buys a car at one point in their life, and they all look at sales as this sleazy, like, oh, someone's just trying to pitch me something.
Yeah.
And I funny enough have kind of correlated that with the way, back to the confidence side of things, is the way people reach out to me.
Mhm.
Like, if I see someone just cold pitching me and I've never met met 'em before, I'm like, I value the confidence and the connection, and so I'll be like, "No, man, like, I don't even know you. Like, I don't even wanna have a call with you." If you were to reach out to me and say, "Hey," just through, like, LinkedIn, and say, "Hey, I'd love to have a phone chat, with you and just have a conversation," Yeah, I might be busy, but most of the time I'm like, "Yeah, let's jump on a 30-minute call." And if I don't feel like it's something that I wanna move forward with, I will confidently tell you, "Hey, love what you're doing. I may have some people that I can refer to you, but this is not the place I'm at right now."
Yeah.
Right now, it's gotten very, "What's the price?" "Alright, send me a quote." Or, "How much does it cost? Send me a quote." And of course, being in the marketing world, there's different types of businesses and different types of models, and so there's a difference between selling B2B, like, or residential, like, uh
Which that's I'm trying to get more into B2B sales because I wanna work more with, recurring clients and build those relationships. My buddy's a wedding photographer, and we went rock climbing. He was telling me how hard it can be sometimes being a wedding photographer because he puts a lot of energy into the couples, but then once their wedding's done, that's it, right?
Yeah.
Because you only plan on getting married once. Most time 2, 3 times will happen over a lifetime, but, yeah, he said it could be super tough sometimes because you build that connection, but then it's gone pretty much.
Yeah, the B2B side, it's so funny because this is something that I've been challenged with because I'm so good at helping a lot of the clients that we work with more so client side, like the B2C side,
Mhm.
and making sales. I think my goal and sweet spot, and we can probably bring this up later, which is, the gyms that I work with, but that's my sweet spot because it's this nice little correlation between, hey, it's not volume. You don't need a million sales, but you could still build value off of it and come up with a good membership. But B2B has been so hard for me because it's not volume, but I still need volume for practice and to make
Keep it
relationships,
fresh,
keep it
keep it
fresh.
strong, yeah,
And it's so hard to there's a common thing in I think most industries where they say, "Oh, well, the more money you make, the easier it is to say no." I'm like, "No, it's not because I like to serve people." And so I tend to take on stuff still, and then it backfires on me like 2 weeks later. So
yeah,
being able to say no and be able to also be able to say, "Hey, like, I value what you're doing, and my price point of value is based off of not just the services I provide, but value of your mark."
yeah,
And that's a hard one to kind of wrap my head around is, yeah, like I can go to a SaaS company and be like, I'm going to sell you an $80,000 brand because it has more risk to it because you have such uh, of a larger market. But then when it comes down to a brick and mortar, if they're lucky, they're making, 3 to 5 with multiple locations, they're not going to pay no 60 grand. So finding a way internally to build value and also be like, well, I still have to make money and survive because I have a team, but I can't charge you 60 grand for this,
yeah.
you know?
The overhead, I was looking at that, yesterday, downtown lease, places in Scottsdale and Tempe as well, and I realized just looking at that, I was like, "God damn, that" I mean, just the lease for the building, I was looking at little 600, 700 square foot buildings for 6 grand a month for a
Crazy.
lease. And, most of those places are gonna be like little bitty bracelet stores, purse bag stores, hats, whatever, right? They gotta sell.
I think about it every
They
time I drive down the street, like, I see, like, a yarn, there's this big building in Gilbert, is that they sell yarn and yarn supplies
Yeah,
and, like, knitting and stuff, and I'm like, every time I pass it and other things too, I'm like, "How do they survive?"
right.
Like, no one's gonna come in. Yeah, you have to sell volume off of that stuff.
Massive amount, because Amazon too, that's what put a lot of businesses is Amazon
Mhm.
straight to your door, you don't have to go shop for it.
I'm still of the mindset of, and back to that connection side, I think that we're going the way of experiences all the way. Like
Mhm.
I went shopping with my wife 2 weeks ago, and I have 3 kids. So it was like it was a lot to go out, but it was an experience that we wanted. And so I like to walk into a store and try on shoes and find my shirts.
Mhm.
Like I like that experience.
Right.
And I'm I'd rather buy from the store then buy online. Unfortunately, this store was sold out of the shoe they still had on display, so I did have to buy it off Amazon, but, I'm like, "You're lost." Like, I came in to try it on, I was ready to buy, like, 4 pairs of shoes, but,
Yeah.
you know, um, I just feel like that's the way things are going, and you were talking earlier about the gym and going to the gym, and I feel like especially after 2020 and people starting to work
Things have
out
been
from home.
different since then.
They have.
Different.
I
Never was the same after that.
they were, and I think the problem now is that people want those experiences. They wanna build those communities, and I think that so many people think like, I work from home too. I'm craving to go out and find a space, like, but you're right.
Yeah, that's me last night. I was like, "Damn, I wish I had a nice little downtown studio place."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Get out of the house for a little bit.
Yeah, I want to buy it. I'm a go big or go home kinda guy, so I'm saving up to build, but, I'm at the place where I'm like the opposite of what most people want. They're always like, "I wanna work from home." I'm like, I promise you that if you work from home, you'll say you love it." But I started working from home back in 2017, and so I thought that's what I wanted. I'm like, "I get to be home," and I built my life around it now, and it's great, and I'm blessed because I can be around my family, but damnedest if I get excited just to go to the grocery store right now.
Yeah. No, I feel that. That's what we crave is community.
Mhm.
We crave that connection, that interaction with people. We really hunger for. I know I was telling you after I had that panic attack, man, I cut my gym memberships because I was thinking, well, I just go to the gym, I have my headphones on, everybody else has their headphones on. Nobody's talking, nobody's interacting. I get my workout done. I might as well have just worked out at the house because I didn't really talk to anybody.
Mm.
Like we were all just ghosts to each other. And, I looked at my options. I found, rock climbing. I looked at the rock climbers and said, "Well, they look really fit, and it looks like a good challenge, so I'll go try that out," and went down to the bouldering project, started doing yoga as well, because I just craved being around people and doing shit like a normal human being. You know what I mean? Like, am I crazy for that? No, it's just ever since the COVID shutdown happened and everything is going AI now, or, let's just say the AI is a rave right now. So AI is a rave and everything's about work from home, computers, 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 which is funny enough, kinda makes me think about The Matrix, but it's kinda gone that route to where people, they wanna get out and do more community, but everything's so infrastructure-wise set up for online after the COVID shutdown, and it's really bugging with people.
I had a prospect come to me about a month ago. It was this gym. He kinda matched our matrix. He had 3 gyms.
Oh, by the way, while we're talking about the gym, tell me more about, you said earlier we'll talk about the gyms you work with,
Oh, yeah.
and then we'll go into that, yeah.
Yeah, so I recently opened a smaller company, we'll just say it's a sub-brand of our larger brand. So, we have creative right now, which is really tailoring towards those larger RFP slash, larger companies and projects, and we finally decided to branch off our marketing, 1, because we found it was 2 different audiences.
Is it consulting or branding? More,
It's consulting and implementation, and so
do you
it's
do everything for them, or do you give them snippets of it? Or
so what we do is we have a package where we come in and we will basically build their reputation. So we'll do the Google ads and the local Google My Business SEO stuff.
sure.
And we'll basically build their brand and their website for free if they are one of the clients that honestly, I'm a perfectionist, so it's like I can tell if a brand, I'm like, "This is shit, we can't use this."
Sure. Yeah.
So we usually just build it in-house from and we'll do the maintenance and stuff, and I have a package set up for each stage, based around, how they can bring in a much more sustainable lead flow,